little human beings called babies are very intelligent. We don't give them enough credit. They know they know when they're hungry, and they can tell when they're satisfied. And usually, I encourage, as much as like now you're weaning your baby's at 6 months and 23 days. Yes, I remember. You find that as your baby begins to develop his or her own character, you need to allow that creativity to also come out based even in terms of the food. And even as you're feeding, should you choose to do maybe spoon feeding weaning, or spoon-led weaning, encourage the reaching out and playing with food and give them finger foods. A lot of the concerns for parents is that my baby will gag, isn't it? That's a very big fear. But the thing is this: if we are careful in terms of how we also create the lumps within the foods that we are giving the child, then it becomes easier for them to actually now know, if I have this thing in my mouth, if it's too hard, I cannot be able to bite it and take it in. So you will find that it will end up being very muddled and very messy. But that also helps continually also develop the chewing mechanism. Some children start getting their teeth early, others until 18 months they still don't have teeth, but you must continue to develop that. The other thing is that most of us are not too sure how to handle teething. And we're not too sure whether it is the experiencing that you're experiencing at 4 months. There's a drooling that happens at 4 months, isn't it? And we're not sure what it is. Basically, the salivary glands are producing more than usual, but what we take for granted, these muscles that make us close our lips, what we take for granted, they're not fully developed, and in that sense, that's what causes the drooling, especially at 4 months. But the drooling that happens a lot later on, way into like your 7, 8 months, it's probably got to do something with teething. Now, as you're talking about teething, please be careful the toys you buy for teething. Please make sure it is hard plastic. There's this new thing about everything has to be softer. Please don't buy soft toys for teething, because they contain a chemical that can be poisonous for your children. I think it's still in the developed world where we're still selling those kind of teething toys. Whatever it is that you buy, make sure it is a hard toy. And if you're able to, depending on the different therapies, some people choose to use ice blocks to just relieve the pressure, the various things you can do. But we need to be careful about the toys, especially that you're going to use for teething. Then we come to weaning. How many of us give our children water? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. How much water do we give a day? Thank you. Oh, good. You're all opening up and talking. This is good. Thank you.
I don't give my baby every day. Let's say a week. If I can't see my baby come, let's say, yeah, like a week. Maybe I take 2 spoons.
Is it warm? Is it cold? Is it normal temperature? Is it warm mineral water? Is it tap water?
Warm
water.
Yeah.
How old is baby?
1 and 3 weeks.
1 month, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, I will talk about that just in a moment. Who else gives the baby water? All right, let's hear.
I just give the baby water after the meal.
After the meal?
Yeah.
How old is your baby?
1 year and 3 weeks.
Okay, how much water do you give your 1 year, 3 weeks baby?
I just I boil it and then put it to the bottle. So if anytime she needs the water, she just walk to the table and just pick it, and sometimes we cover it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she knows where the water is if she's thirsty. I love that. Excellent. All right, there's another mom right here.
Yeah, I give her like 200 or 100 ml.
How old is the baby?
7 months.
7 months. At a go?
No. Maybe she'll take like 50 ml, then sometimes she'll take the rest.
Okay, excellent. You've just put a new thought into my mind.
She's 6 months, 23 days.
Oh, excellent.
So after feeding her, I give her some water with a spoon, just some few spoons. Then after the next meal, some spoons.
Okay, excellent. Breast milk is very interesting because it changes in quality and composition from when the baby is 1 day old, from birth actually, and it keeps changing based on the needs of the child and the different ages. So we really discourage giving anything to the child. Why do we do this? Science has shown that when you begin to add anything to the child's diet, even water, apart from medicine that is prescribed by the doctor for a reason that the doctor feels that this child needs medicine, you begin to interfere with the immune properties that are already in your breast milk. And in fact, more often than not, we say, especially as the children grow older, between 1 and 6 months, the more you introduce additional things, the more you begin to interfere with the level of immunity that your baby is able to bank on now later on in the life. Look at it this way. 0 to 6 months is your 100 opportunity to invest in the immunity of your child. And we begin to see this outputs a lot later when children start developing allergies, things that are not particularly in the family that begin to affect the different lineages. That is one of the things that I felt I needed to comment about that. Should there be issues of no stool, there are other modalities in which we can actually manage that, which I can probably have a discussion with you directly. Over and above that, weaning, there are 2 types of weaning. There's spoon weaning and baby-led weaning. I don't know whether we've heard of baby-led weaning. Has any one of us heard of that? Where the baby determines how you're going to wean the baby? It's a new way of doing things, and a lot of moms find it a bit difficult to do because you want the best of the baby. You want to ensure that your baby eats enough and eats often enough, and there's no problem with that, and that's what we call spoon-led weaning. Basically, you spoon feed your baby. But in this other kind of weaning, your baby actually determines. And how do you do that? One, it's a very messy experience. So it is actually, we find most babies are actually encouraged to actually even play with the food. Because at 6 months, especially between 6 and 7 months, you encourage your baby to, because at this time they're reaching out to things, isn't it? Yeah, at 6 months. Yeah, more often than not, if the milestones are spot on, they're already reaching out. So that is the time actually you encourage them to actually play with the food. And more often than not, they reach out and put things in their mouth. Am I right? So you need to ensure that the temperature of the food is not as messy. Now, the long-term benefit of baby-led weaning is that children do not, one, become overweight by being overfed, by the fact that you're constantly feeding them. That is one. Then two, you actually are able to generate more interest and creativity in your children, and as such, they're more open to different flavors and different kinds of foods, and you have a lot less rejection of food and food types. So it is a two-way thing. We have a couple of parents who actually choose to mix the two, where they say, I will feed as the baby interacts with the food, and it also gets very good results, but it's a choice you as a mom need to make, because maybe most of the time you're not there with the child when they're being fed, so you're also not too sure about the hygiene of are the hands clean, etc. But it is something that you can even practice over the weekend when you're with the children or when you come home to your babies in the evening. Now, in terms of foods, usually we encourage cereals as your fast food. That's usually the best thing to start on, and usually we encourage you give one cereal at a time. Baby rice is one of the best cereals that you can actually give your child. A lot of us, I know we've tried a lot of things. I've seen moms trying to crush ugali, am I right? Or the rice you have cooked and you try and crush it and give it to the baby. Now, the challenge with that is because the way the food is made for an adult, your baby might not be able to assimilate it, especially 6 to 7 months. So as much as you're weaning, you need to remove the pressure from yourself that I have weaned my baby and I'm feeding my baby right. That's the purpose of this particular conversation about 6 to 7 months. And the goodness is there are also many products out there. Purity, thank you very much for having an excellent product, which can remove that pressure of having to try and mash things. And the good thing is that you do not have to be worried about how much the child is eating at that point in time, because you're still breastfeeding. And remember, whatever food you're giving in terms of the weaning food, you need to ensure that you add your breast milk to it. Let me talk about cow milk at this point in time. I love milk and I'm a milk ambassador, and I believe milk is essential for life. However, 0 to 12 months, your children, your babies should never drink cow milk. So if you're giving a baby cow milk, please stop. Don't give cow milk, don't give goat milk, don't give camel milk, don't give soya milk. Just forget that whole animal milk business, please. Why is this important? Because you find studies have shown that children who are given milk during that time end up experiencing stunted growth. The children don't grow well. Why is that? First and foremost, the reason why we wean at 6 months is that you need the digestive system and the liver and all the other little organs to actually mature enough to be able to take on additional food that is not mother's milk. That is one. 2, it is very important to also allow the immunity of your children to mature. Okay? And you must protect that 0 to 12 months jealously as much as you can. So that means planning a little more, making sure that you also protect the environment and educating the people who are taking care of the children at home, whether it is, if you're having help from, whether it's your mom, your sister, if you have a nanny, whoever it is that comes in to help you with a child when you have to do the other things that you need to do, you please invest in training them. Please invest in informing them. Please invest in being practically involved with them when they are doing things for your children. Not nani ende upatie mtoto chakula nimechoka. She can be feeding the child, but she can feed it in front of you. She can do whatever she's doing with the child in front of you. This is the only way you begin to correct that, because remember, if you've gone back to work, you have how many hours? Maybe 6? Because maybe you come in late and leave early. 6 hours away from your child that somebody else is taking care and feeding your child. So please invest in that time with them. Very, very, very important. Now, as you progress on, the puree needs to also move to soft chunks. And on this one, we need to also clarify what soft chunks are. It's not a soup with things like peas or hard chunks in it, because one, it confuses your baby. They're not able to differentiate between this liquid thing that is kind of like milk and this new hard thing which I'm beginning to experience in my mouth. So what it means is that if you're going to, for example, maybe do a fruit, if you're doing a pawpaw, for example, if you're going to mash it, please make sure it's a bit lumpy. It's pure. You always need a puree with a bit of soft lumps. This also helps develop the muscles, teach the children how to chew, how to move food across the mouth. So it's more than just the feeding experience that you're nourishing your child. It also has to do with developmental of things like how the speech, how your child will begin to speak. And as you grow older, you will find that that's how the chunks begin to be bigger, not necessarily harder. So they're usually soft chunks, and you find them they're a bit bigger. So that is actually how you move on. If you choose to continue breastfeeding, excellent. Some people may feel this is a bit overdone, but I believe until the baby is 1 year, ideally the milk, your breast milk should be a major ingredient in the baby's food.